It's the big one. Hey, we got a news flash for you here. We're going to break
Yeah.
the embargo a couple minutes early, but Ohio State at Wisconsin next week, 7:30 p.m. NBC Sports prime time. And it will be the 5th time in the last 6 visits for Ohio State to Wisconsin for it to be a night game. The one exception was in 2012, a game played in November that Ohio State won. It was a 3:30 game. Ohio State's 9-0 against Wisconsin since 2011, and I feel a little bit better about that game after watching the way Iowa in Iron Sheik fashion humbled the Wisconsin Badgers. I will humble you, 15-6. What a mess! What a disgusting mess! And Iowa, Minnesota this week. The over/under is 32 points for that game. Like the second or third lowest over/under in recorded history. So Ohio State at Wisconsin on whatever the date that is. 28th, yeah, will be a 7:30 game on NBC. So I'll be getting out of my hotel room at about 5 p.m. and heading over to the stadium. And there you go.
And Tanner Mordecai broke his hand, and so he's out for the foreseeable future. So that's not good for Wisconsin, and in some ways, it's not good for Ohio State. It's good in the immediate for Ohio State, but when it comes down to if Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State all have one loss to each other, then you're basing who goes to the Big Ten championship game on the record of your Big Ten West opponents.
Iowa's going to have a better record than Wisconsin, and so Penn State may have a leg up in this.
Because right now, because I went through and looked at the records of the Big Ten West opponents. So Penn State's Big Ten West opponents right now are 5-6, Ohio State's are 4-6, and Michigan's are 3-7. So Michigan is pretty much out of the picture if this thing ends up in a 3-way tie because they don't play a Wisconsin or an Iowa. Their best Big Ten West team is Nebraska, Minnesota.
Nobody. His nobody.
So, and for there to be a 3-way tie,
how wretched is it?
Yeah, it's bad. So for there to be a 3-way tie, Ohio State has to beat Wisconsin.
Hideous.
It
is hideous. That's a good word for it. Hideous. Because it's been bad in the past.
They're on the street corner handing out tickets to the Big Ten championship game to the Iowa people, and they're like, "Nah, bro, I'm good. All you got to do is drive 4 hours down the road to Indianapolis, and you can go to the game." Nah, man, thank you. Thank you, but no, thank you. I appreciate it. 44-5, your final from Indianapolis tonight, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. Whether it's Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State, it's 44-5. Just mark it.
That's
down.
A good score, Steve. That's
they're going to get a safety.
I'll get that safety.
That defense is going to get a safety. Don't worry about it. But yeah.
But my goodness,
what a godforsaken mess.
I've sat here and posted a number of videos defending the Big Ten Western Division in previous years because the ugliness of the games has been a little overstated in regards to the results. The results of the league, the division in the past has not been that awful. Actually, they have a really good bowl winning percentage. Obviously, they don't play anybody any good in bowl games, but they drag around the likes of Syracuse and Georgia Tech and those teams in bowl games and beat them up. They've got a really good bowl winning percentage, but the last 2 years can't be defended. They go outside of the conference and they just get hammered. They get killed, and then they produce these games. And yes, what is the point spread going to be in Indianapolis regardless? And I got to think, regardless of this tie-breaking system, that if Ohio State's sitting at home at 11-1, let's say Iowa runs the table. They should run the table. They should be 11-1. Their schedule's awful. They would not have played a ranked team in the regular season or anything close to a ranked team. And they pull off the best case scenario, I got to think, guys, for them is they beat a Penn State in a rematch, of course. And then I guess they get an Ohio State loss at Wisconsin. That would knock out the Buckeyes. But if they get this 3-way tie, the teams sitting at home have to still have a better resume, especially Ohio State with the Notre Dame game, than Iowa.
You can't put Iowa in the playoffs no matter what they do from here on out. And barring a 59-0 win in the Big Ten championship game, like there is a body of work, and you can't leave a one-loss Big Ten championship team out. I think you can, and it's that
Was it
there's also the we just don't want that. We the eye test type of thing. Like, come on, like we know it when we see it. That sort of thing. The Supreme Court, like we know a bad team when we see it. And now they have played one ranked team, Penn State beating them pretty soundly. So
I meant a win, ranked
yeah,
win.
Yeah. And so they need more than a Big Ten championship game win, in my opinion.
They needed. They're 6-1, could end up 11-2 if they win out and lose in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, their remaining games are Minnesota at home should win, Northwestern at home should win, Rutgers at home should win. Oh gosh, this schedule, this can't be right. It's got to be mismarked.
Yeah.
But Minnesota, Northwestern, Rutgers, Illinois, Nebraska, that should be 5 wins for them. Maybe they lose one, but they still go to Indianapolis even at 4-1. Mm-hmm. So they could end up 11-2 or 10-3. And they said before the season that Brian Ferentz needed to average 25 points a game to keep his job. They've had one 26-point game and one 41-point game. And otherwise they've been, and this was the, 15-6, they beat Wisconsin. So good God. But yeah, that win's not going to help. Well, I mean, if they're 11-1, it would help, I suppose. It would help because they'll probably be ranked 15th in the country at least. But, I don't know. They're the worst number 25 ranked team in the country in the history of the world, I think. But
you can't fire an offensive coordinator that just went 10-2 or 11-1
and won his division. Division.
I'm going to stick up a little bit for Iowa here. It is atrocious. It's unbelievably bad on offense, but to the contrary, I don't think their defense and special teams get enough credit because they're incredibly good. They are incredibly good. You can march anybody out there and they're going to stay in the game. It just is uncanny how they produce points and figure out ways to stay in a game and just are so fundamentally sound, so good.
It's trestle ball on steroids is what it is. I mean,
it's way beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Ohio State had great defenses, but this is something, a next level. I mean, although they did give up 31 to Penn State, but, geez, I mean, when your offense gets 4 first downs, it was kind of like, what teams have done to Ohio State this year to stay in games or to make it not look as good is they've sustained drives against Ohio State and won the battle of field position. Well, when Iowa doesn't sustain drives against a good opponent, then Penn State had great field position from I just turned that game on from about the beginning of the second quarter on. Penn State was in plus territory, so it was not as big a task to score 31 points. They're not driving 80 yards to score 31 points. They're having to drive like half the field, which makes it a little easier to do.
Their offense ran 33 plays in that game, and as you stated, 4 first downs and 76 total yards. Your defense can only hold up for so long under those conditions. And one more note on Iowa, and we'll get back to our Buckeye show, is this past weekend. Yeah, this 25 points per game. I just so much wish that would have been an offensive statistic, as it should be. The defense is scoring the points. They had a 75-yard touchdown run. They produced one offensive play the entire game, 75-yard touchdown run or something in that range. Other than that, they had 37 yards passing. They had a safety. Every other field goal produced was like a negative yardage drive or a 9-yard drive. Just it's incredible. It's incredible.
It is, and it becomes something to watch because of the unwatchableness of it. It's you come watch this. You've never seen anything like this before, and it's like a freak show at the circus. Yeah, it's like you're watching it like this, but you're gonna pay to watch. Like, here's $5. Show me the pig-faced football team, and boom, there you are watching the Iowa offense try. And with their new quarterback is completing 30% of his passes in the last 3 games as a starter, and they've won them all.
Saturday's offensive performance has officially done it. Iowa has dropped to dead last in the nation in offense, below Eastern Michigan.
Unreal. When you're below Eastern Michigan, that's when you know.
They could go 11-1 and be 133 in total offense.